Video games are one of my favorite avenues of storytelling, largely thanks to the immersion that they can provide. You aren't just told a story as an observer, instead you engage with it as an active participant. The tale can't move forward without interaction from the outside world. This freedom creates new problems that an artist has to solve when creating this type of media, though. Things like movies and TV can get away with only designing a relatively tiny area because the viewer's field of view is also quite small. Generally speaking, you can't exactly turn your head in the middle of a film. Your gaze is locked in place. With video games, this isn't the case, and as a result, additional care has to be put into designing areas that are entirely irrelevant from the story its developers might be trying to tell. Real life is full of mundane and uninteresting things, so by adding areas like that into a game, it feels more realistic as a result. That's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Let's explore some spots throughout the original Halo trilogy that serve no real function. Locations that only exist because you can go there, rather than because the designers want you to go there. I also want to shout out AnyAustin on YouTube, as he helped inspire the creation of this with his video, Odd and Unremarkable Places in Halo Combat Evolved. But before we get into it, I gotta tell you about this video's sponsor. Do not fast forward. I think you'll want to hear what I have to say, because this isn't a standard sponsorship. This video is sponsored by the Legends of Reach modding team. Yes, a team of modders is paying me to tell you about a 100% free piece of content that they're crafting for Nebulous Fleet Command. They don't want to sell you something, they just need your help. Legends of Reach is working to bring space fleet combat to Halo. Instead of controlling troops on the ground like you would in Halo Wars, you'll command entire fleets into battle. The team has crafted 6 UNSC ships and 5 Covenant vessels, each built to be as lore accurate as possible while still being fairly balanced with the game's vanilla factions. Your ships come equipped with a plethora of custom weapons, including the iconic Mac Cannon and Covenant Glassing Beam. There's only one problem. Their labor of love is currently broken due to updates on Nebulous Fleet Command itself. If this sounds like it could be a dream come true, you can help make it a reality. The Legends of Reach team needs 3 to 4 developers that are familiar with Unity and 1 to 2 3D modelers to craft Halo's tools of destruction. Remember, this is a dedicated team. They're not making any money from this whatsoever. They're doing this because they want the world to have a space-based Halo gaming experience. If you love Halo and have experience with Unity or 3D modeling, go join their Discord and lend a hand. Huge thanks to the Legends of Reach team for sponsoring this video. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. Fittingly, with the Pillar of Autumn. The first spot I want to show you is in the very beginning of the game, and is an area that Austin went to in his video, so I'll be brief. At the very front of the Pillar of Autumn is a small glass observation deck. Many of you have probably been here before, but it's an interesting spot, regardless.
Hey, lady. Hey, lady. You don't look so good.
A little bit further into the mission is the cryopod observation room. Just opposite of the tube that contained Chief is another identical space, but this one is completely empty. In the anniversary version of the game, it was retroactively changed to be where Linda was refrigerated. This next spot was also covered by Austin, but I do still want to show you it anyways. The instant you start the mission Halo, you're tasked with walking across this precarious bridge. Just beneath it is another of the same design. Everyone sees this structure, so chances are you probably already know of its existence. But what you might not know is that you can actually jump down and survive the fall with a well-timed crouch. In one of the later updates for Halo the Master Chief Collection, brand new collectibles were added into the game, giving some of these pointless locations an actual purpose. These take the form of golden MOAs. Finding and destroying them will give you currency for an in-game shop that allows you to buy armor and skins. Just before entering the obviously not a natural formation is a bridge above. But beyond it is a cliff face that you can also travel to. You guessed it. There is absolutely nothing of note up here, just some rocks and trees. After crossing this large gap with the light bridge, you can park your Warthog up against a wall. Then jump off your Warthog and get up to an area that mirrors the location where you activated the bridge in the first place. This spot is kind of eerie, and much like loading up a multiplayer map by yourself, there's this weird feeling that you're being watched. I think a large part of that is due to the fantastic sound design in these games, but I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that's just off-putting, you know? All of the effects make the space just feel uncomfortable and help sell the idea that you're exploring a long abandoned structure. Yes, I'm using the anniversary graphics for a moment because it's dark as shit otherwise. You'll survive, I promise. You can also wedge yourself in this little nook. I swear, this game either has the best collision or the worst. I'm talking to you, trees on the silent cartographer. Fuck you. Immediately after exiting the tunnel, which by the way is not a natural formation, you can find this weird little cliff face. For the most part, I'm gonna try to avoid showing you out of bounds spaces, but there's a few instances where I just couldn't resist. I'm not really sure if this qualifies, but if you walk to the end of the cliff face, the skybox sort of just breaks. The developers of this game, in this case Bungie, never expected for you to be standing in this spot, which means their carefully constructed illusion sort of breaks apart. They didn't create something for you to see because they never thought you'd be here to observe this direction in the first place. Think of it like seeing the edge of a movie set or something. Following the river all the way to the end will lead you to a waterfall. There's a rock in the middle that splits it in two different directions. This spot is kind of the exact opposite when compared to the one I mentioned in the tunnel earlier. It's not eerie, it's actually pretty cozy. This would be a good spot to camp or something. One of the groups of Marines that needs rescuing is situated at the top of a small hill. At its base is a small building with an open interior that has nothing inside. This is a weird one that I can't help but analyze from a lore-based perspective. Why the hell did the Forerunners build this? It serves literally no function. It's not even pretty. Like, what even is this thing? Is it a switch or something? An interesting and awesome thing about Halo Combat Evolved is that it almost never stops you from venturing outside of the intended play space. One of the greatest examples of this is the Silent Cartographer. This mission is a large island covered with enemies and points of interest, all of which can be engaged in any sequence. Anyone that's played this game probably already knows this, but you can exit the confines of the map by simply walking out into the ocean. There's genuinely nothing stopping you from venturing way the hell out here, and if you're anything like 5-year-old me, getting hopelessly lost. Another peculiar thing about Halo CE is the plethora of weird structures that are sort of like rafters or lattices or something. I don't know, there's a lot of these weird like overhangs that you can get onto for some reason. One example of this can be found when entering this area and simply looking up. By utilizing kind of a tricky grenade jump or simply flying up by enabling acrophobia, you can jump around up here freely, if you're into that sort of thing. At some point, assuming you're not breaking the game with speedrun strategies, Cortana will ask you to disable the ring's security systems. The surrounding area where that switch is located is really weird and seemingly contains a platform that overlooks a bottomless pit. There's also this bizarre barricade, even though there's never any combat scenarios in this particular spot. After disabling the security system, or glitching through the door and sidestepping this asshole, you'll be greeted with a cutscene. In it, the chief kicks a tiny little pebble thing into another bottomless pit. Just after that is another pointless platform that you can grenade, jump, or fly onto. Right after exiting the Pelican and the beginning of Assault on the Control Room, you'll enter one of the many identical rooms within Halo's substructure. A lot of these contain these weird ventilation tubes or something. They're all completely empty and just odd. I have no idea what the lore implications behind these could possibly be. The instant you step outside, out onto the bridge, there's a small nook that you can fall and jump down to just beneath it. It serves no real purpose. Many of you might say, But this is a famous location. It's not pointless. It's used for speedruns. And to that I say, shut up. This is my video, not yours. Right after the first bridge, you'll enter another interior, similar to the one that I showed you when I was talking about Halo's tubes. This time, if you look straight up, there's a glass ceiling. It's not some kind of fancy unbreakable Forerunner material either. It shatters instantly. I know this sort of doesn't qualify as a pointless area, but I still think it's really weird. The Forerunners were just building shit for the hell of it. How am I gonna get down? Placed sporadically throughout Assault on the Control Room and two betrayals are these weird little pockets that lead to nothing. You can't actually get into them, thanks to the fact that they're covered by a layer of impervious glass, but they're still very strange. Oh shit. Guess I'm stuck.
3 days later.
A little ways into the mission and you'll enter a cavernous room with a bunch of enemies. Traveling all the way to the left side without alerting anyone reveals a sneaky, sleepy Ongoy. Something about this spot in particular is kind of cozy to me, akin to the one that I mentioned in the very beginning where the rock splits on the waterfall. I can empathize with this little guy. He just wants to have a few moments to himself, a little bit of quiet solitude. If you somehow manage to steal a Banshee or something, you can fly up to the areas that are designed to be explored during two betrayals. While they aren't technically pointless as a result, they are at this particular moment. It's also really strange seeing this environment fully lit rather than under the cover of night. This next spot is my favorite in this entire video and sort of goes against the out of bounds rule I self-imposed in the beginning. I haven't really shown you any areas that are outside of the intended play space because they're not really designed for you to see them. Those spaces are pointless because they're never meant to be explored. But this one is just too weird, I couldn't not talk about it. Have you ever wondered what's at the top of these trees in 343 Guilty Spark? Well, if you enable acrophobia and fly straight up after starting the mission, you'll quickly be presented with this. Isn't this just bizarre looking? Out of context, it doesn't even really look like Halo. Instead, it reminds me of a region in the original Dark Souls called Ash Lake. This showcases a very clever design choice for this area too. From the jungle floor, you can't see anywhere near the tops of these trees thanks to the heavy fog that envelops the region. As a result, they feel like they branch and twist onward infinitely into the sky. Of course, they don't. This is all just clever misdirection, akin to close-up magic. But it doesn't really matter. The area is just so eerie, so unnatural and odd. Many of you would probably call this a liminal space, and I suppose that would be correct. The definition of liminal is occupying a position at or on both sides of a boundary or threshold. In this case, we're standing at the boundary of the world itself. Once again though, the creepy shroud that blankets this space is only achieved through excellent set design. If we completely break out of the map, the illusion of this place is ruined, but the ominous tone persists. Seeing the location like this makes things seem far more artificial, which makes sense considering everything here is. But somehow that doesn't make it any less uncomfortable, and in some ways, it even enhances that sensation. After trudging deep into the Forerunner structure where you're first introduced to the Flood, you're almost immediately told to escape. The problem is the elevator you used to get down has been destroyed. Interestingly though, if you use acrophobia to fly up the shaft and out into the area you started in, the entire map is still loaded in. I have absolutely no idea why they wouldn't just delete this section to save on memory, but for whatever reason, it's fully intact. Now though, it's even more empty than before. No Flood Bigfoot encounters, no enemies, only you and the sounds of the surrounding swamp. Even knowing that nothing lies in wait, that feeling that something is lurking just beyond your field of view is difficult to completely shake. The library is in of itself a pointless space. This mission. The starting area within Two Betrayals is kind of weird. Let me explain why. Firstly, you can easily travel back here with a Banshee and fly all the way to the bottom of the pit. There's absolutely nothing interesting down here, but that's sort of the entire point of the video. The other weird aspect regarding this area can be witnessed if you stand on top of one of those lights and simply look up. What the hell is this? Why is this here? I have no idea. The final spots I want to show you are fittingly the least interesting of them all. At any point throughout the mission keys, you walk through these holes. Each of them can be entered to reveal, you guessed it, nothing. Much like Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2 has no shortage of weird and unimportant areas. If you simply walk a little ways down the first street and take a right, you'll find yourself in a small courtyard full of apartment doors. By the way, I'm going to be using the new graphics for most of this segment because they're actually really good in Halo 2. If you progress a bit further, you'll enter a series of passageways that are central to a secret combat encounter involving the collection of a gameplay modifier called a skull. This one in particular is I Would Have Been Your Daddy, and it increases the chances of hearing rare combat dialogue. That's not the point of this video though. Instead, I want you to see this empty alleyway. This mission is full of roads that lead to nowhere as well. In universe, I guess you could argue these have been sealed to seal the march of nearby Covenant troops or something. I don't know. Eventually, you'll head out of the claustrophobic streets and make your way to a picturesque beach. Instead of dipping your armored toes into the sand, you can travel down this street that leads to absolutely nothing. On the same silicate strip I just mentioned is a crashed pelican. If you venture inside, you can find zip, zero. Zilch. One of my favorite things about Halo, because I'm a weirdo, is that a lot of the times extremely accurate meshes on certain objects allow you to wedge yourself in little nooks and crevices. It's completely unnecessary to allow you to squeeze in here. Most games would probably convert this object into a simpler mesh that would prevent you from getting in here, but that's not the case with Halo. So go ahead and cram your body into a tiny orifice. Right before going into a tunnel at the end of the mission, you'll find yourself at yet another shelly shoal. On the left side is a group of rocks, but behind them is the elusive thing we're looking for. Nothingness. Did you know that you can stand underneath the bridge at the start of Metropolis? Because I didn't until making this ridiculous video. Shortly after being placed in the hooves of the world's coolest blasphemer, you'll travel to this area within Threshold's gas mine. Much like the rafters I spoke of during CE, Halo 2 has a few examples of this as well. A simple crouch jump can take you onto the lattices that overhang the first set of conveyor belts. Halo 2 has a lot of missions that physically connect to one another, and as a result, certain areas can be visited out of sequence. The first example of this is during the Arbiter's Banshee fight. By simply flying away from the objective, you can make your way down to an area you're not supposed to visit until the next level, the Oracle. Using a bit of acrophobia, you can fly up and to the center of the platform that the first two Arbiter missions take place on. The cable itself actually has no collision, and if you fly to the top, you'll see that it slowly becomes transparent. This is another really clever visual trick to make it appear as though it extends beyond your field of view and connects to the structure far above. But in actuality, it just slowly tapers off into nothingness. Including these is sort of cheating, but I like them, so I'm showing you anyways. Like I said before, you can easily traverse some maps to eventually end up in an area at an unintended time. During the Oracle, you can zip on over to segments from the Arbiter after acquiring a Banshee, or once again, if you're lazy with acrophobia. In case you forgot, this is the door you end the Arbiter with. Also, this facility is mirrored, so if you go to the opposite end, you can find a pointless platform with a passage that won't ever open, largely because it doesn't even exist in the original graphics. Ah, this is such a beautiful vista, isn't it? These structures behind me aren't just pretty set dressing though. They also serve as a glimpse into the future because they're where the next mission will take place. Once again, with the aid of the Master Chief's newly acquired power of flight, getting to them before you're meant to is really easy. I'm sure this is all doable without acrophobia, by the way, but I'm way too lazy to do that shit. Leave that for somebody else, like the Shield Show or something. Anyways, these areas are really weird because they're not fully designed at this point. By coming here early, we're basically looking at a LOD up close, though not in the traditional sense. LOD stands for level of detail, and basically every modern game utilizes the concept to some degree. When making an object, several identical versions of it will also be created, each with varying degrees of fidelity. Essentially, the closer you are, the better the textures will become by swapping out the shittier appearance with the better one. While this might not technically be a LOD because it doesn't adapt based on distance, the relatively simple geometry compared to later serves the same function. The game doesn't need to render this in full detail if you can't get anywhere near to see that it's not fully detailed. Make sense? You may be wondering why I'm using the original visuals to show these, and that's simply because they look completely normal with the newer coat of paint. Oh shit. Just like the previous mission, segments from Regret's sister level become really strange if you visit them. The area I'm currently standing in is where some of the final encounters during Delta Halo take place. For context, this is what it normally looks like. Sacred Icon introduces 3 brand new Sentinel variants, the smallest of the trio being the Constructor. One of the largest groups of them is located on this bridge, which of course has a weird pointless location we can get to. One simple grenade jump can launch you up to where you can see them constantly spawn and despawn before your very eyes. A little ways into Quarantine Zone, you'll enter a crashed Sentinel factory. Within these large chambers are a few big open rooms that are easily reached by doing a bit of parkour. The most interesting thing about these blank spaces is that they're not actually completely vacant. Each of them has a few objects that serve no real purpose aside from soft lock prevention. In case you aren't aware, soft locking is when a player manages to get themselves stuck in such a way that they can no longer progress through the game. If someone happened to wander into here and there wasn't something to use to get out, they'd become stuck and forced to revert to their last checkpoint. To remedy this, Bungie simply opted to place a couple pieces of geometry on the floor that can assist you in hopping out, rather than utilizing an invisible wall to bar entry. I really appreciate this and think that it's a far better gameplay design decision compared to the imperceptible barricade method, and I wish this thought process had continued more beyond Halo 2. The gondola ride at the end of the mission is really easy to break out of, and no matter where you go, it's really odd. I don't have much else to say here, but I wanted to mention it at least briefly. I'd wager that most of you probably had no idea that these weird purple structures throughout High Charity are actually glass. Stranger still, if you break them, you can climb into a little nook just behind. Right before Breaking Benjamin rocks your socks off, there's a tiny platform way above. I have no idea what this is for. Once again, just like Delta Halo and Regret, you can travel to portions of the Great Journey during Uprising. This is the final structure where you fight Tartarus, by the way. Immediately upon starting the level High Charity is a platform that serves literally no purpose whatsoever. Okay, that was kind of a lie. This spot is the result of Halo 2's in-engine cutscenes and is the location the Chief comes from right as the mission begins. Beyond that, though, it's functionless, so getting up here is weird looking. Oh, and before you ask, there's literally nothing behind this door. See? Told you. Surely everyone watching this remembers the moment in which the Master Chief literally rides through the beam that feeds into the Forerunner key ship. But what you might not know is that it actually has collision. This means that you can not only stand on it, but you can also walk all the way into the back and enter this room. Exciting, right? Before venturing into Halo 3, I first wanted to tell you something very important. You know the cliff face from the mission Uprising? Well, you can get there from the Great Journey too. I hope you change the world with this information. Halo 3 actually has the least pointless spaces in the original trilogy for reasons I can only speculate. Sierra 117 has several at the end of the mission though. The first of which being this room with a ladder. It does work, by the way, it's just kind of janky. Just opposite of that building is another with a weird little pocket you can jump into. See? Isn't this cozy? There's also this fun generator room and a platform underneath that occasionally has a gold MOA on it. But not right now. I bet you didn't know that you can climb into the pipe that all the drones swarm out of in Crow's Nest. Well, you do now. The same can be said regarding the tubes right before the Grunt birthday party skull. I'm in a tube! Just above this hallway is a series of ventilation ducts that you can climb into. Why the hell are they so big though? Seriously, the Master Chief is over 6 feet tall and he can literally stand completely upright in here without hitting his head. That's weird. That's weird. Right after exiting the tunnel during Savo Highway, you'll find a pointless overlook that gives you an eyeful of the destroyed Mombasa space elevator. There's even an audio line between a few Marines that plays here over the radio that I had never heard until recording this. Here, take a listen.
Mombasa space elevator.
It collapsed when the city got glassed.
But the tether was thousands of kilometers high.
Yeah? Well, now it's scattered all over the savannah.
A few moments before destroying the first Covenant barrier is a path that you can take that leads slightly to the left. Eventually, you can find this small spot behind a large pipe. Starting the storm will force you into a brief warthog ride through a tunnel. You can walk back the way you came from if you want, but there's nothing here. After killing the first anti-air wraith, you can enter a building identical to another that was a little bit earlier in this level. In the previous segment, this door will open to reveal some dead Marines and ammo, but in here, it yields nothing whatsoever. One of my favorite locations in this video is the boat on the storm. Now, obviously it isn't technically pointless on its own. It actually serves as an excellent example of environmental storytelling. But I just think it's really neat that you can get inside it. You can even climb into the captain's quarters, which I just love. Before entering the crashed wreckage on Floodgate to retrieve the message from Cortana, you can turn left and travel across these pipes. I have no idea why you'd want to, but you can go all the way to the end if you feel like it. For some reason, you can walk all the way to the left before entering the final structure during the arc. There's nothing here, aside from a blood splatter for some reason. Very odd. If you go to the left or to the right instead of assaulting the tower containing truth on the Covenant, you can find your way onto these empty expanses of snow and Forerunner alloy. At the start of Halo, the final mission of the trilogy, you can go to the right to find a terminal and an Easter egg. You can also climb into this pocket. Yippee! After Johnson dies, spoiler alert I guess, there's a brief moment where you can head towards the beginning of the mission, but doing so reveals that an avalanche has sealed the path. The Warthog run is full of weird stuff if you slow down. One of the more notable spots can be visited after exiting the second tunnel and veering to the left. For whatever reason, you can walk all the way back here, and the platform extends pretty far. All right, that's all I've got. Thanks so much for watching, but before you go, I got a couple things I want to say to you first. To begin with, thanks again to the Legends of Reach team. Go help them if you can, please, please go help them. What they're doing is really, really cool. Seriously, I love that they have so much passion for it, and I don't know, that's rare these days, just to make something like that and to put your time and effort into something with like no real gain for yourself, like that's pretty admirable. So if you can help them, please go do that. Go join their team. Sounds like a lot of fun. Also, if you want to help me, you could watch another video of mine. That'd be really cool. Or, you know, share this, subscribe, like, comment, blah, 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 all that stupid bullshit that YouTube wants you to do. Otherwise, I guess that's all I've got. Thanks for sticking around and listening to me ramble. Yeah. Well, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go play some Halo. See ya.